We used a click track this time. We never done that before because we always just sort of wanted to go with that more punk rock kind of feel. And I think that comes across in the recording. You can hear that the drums are a lot tighter. The next night after we played in Wembley, to a sold out Wembley, we played a floor show in this club in the south of the UK, down on the coast, with 50 or 100 grindcore fans.
Getting onto Spotify's all new metal playlist, what was that like for you?
That's the first time I've actually heard that. I didn't even know we were on it, but
yeah.
That's great. Both those bands, Acid Bath and Pantera, bands that 5 years ago, no one would have ever thought that those bands would ever play again. You would have never thought that they would be playing live again. Here we are today, both bands are playing live, killing it, playing huge shows, and somehow our band is supporting them.
It's awesome. He's the vocalist for an Australian grindcore band that you might know from their song Bozo. Their new album is out June 6th, called A Young Person's Guide to King Parrot. Matt from King Parrot, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you, mate. Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on, talking about this new album, the band, everything. And like, I did really like that name for an album, A Young Person's Guide to King Parrot. Just tell me about like the decision making process of making that the name of this album.
Well, for the music fans out there, they may know that there's an old band called King Crimson that had an album of a similar title, and that was just us paying homage, ripping them off, basically, and playing obviously a completely different style of music to King Crimson, but there's a bit of a story behind it. Like back in 2023, one of our closest friends passed away, and he was a contributor for the band. You know, he's in a few of our music videos. He did a lot of our artwork, album art, and all of that sort of stuff. And he passed in 2023, but he'd already done the album artwork for this new record. And this, what you see is his design, and it was his idea for that album title as well. So we wanted to pay our respects to our friend that passed away because it was a big loss for us and for our team. And we just wanted to pay respects to our good friend, and you know, it's one of those album covers. It's like you kind of look at it, and you know, and then you put it on, and you wouldn't expect what, you know. So that's kind of that's within our shtick, you know. Like we like to have fun with it, and we like to
subvert expectations.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, because it's like you mentioned. It's like you mentioned, it looks very different from how I'm sure it'll sound once the full album's out. And so like it's great that you have this story, and I'm sorry for your loss, but just like is there any, because this band has been active for a good amount of time now, decades, and so is there any part of you that like wants to find a younger audience, bring in new fans to the band, or is it more just the paying homage side of things?
I mean, look, I think if more people want to get into it, that's always a great thing, right?
Yeah. You're not going to say no to new fans.
Right, but we're under no illusions that, you know, what we do is a very, you know, it's a niche thing, you know. So we just try to expand and get better and improve and bring more into the sound that we created for ourselves, you know. Like, I think we're one of those bands that are kind of lucky that we, from the first sort of recording, we had a sound that was ours, you know, with the riffs, with the song structures, and the way that we write and put the music together. And then the vocals are obviously a little different to other bands as well. So we just try and do our own thing, and we're on the more extreme side, most definitely, but we can work a lot of other elements into what we do. And always been something that we're just open to. We love incorporating rock and roll parts and punk rock parts and hardcore parts and other elements like that into what is certainly pretty much like a grindcore framework. There's definitely thrash moments in there. So, we're lucky in that sense, is that we sound like King Parrot, but we can incorporate all of these elements. And obviously we lean more to the more extreme side, but it's cool, man. We're blessed in that way.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. And because, I mean, just like with everything you're doing in the music, where am I trying to go with this? Sorry, I completely lost my train of thought.
That's all right, brother.
I'm sorry, but just with the new music coming out, I think there's have been a couple singles from the album and everything. What is it about these singles that like you think is a good representation of the album and like shows off the sound?
Well, I mean, I guess with the singles, we're just sort of following direction from labels and things like that. That you know, doing more singles these days is kind of the way to go, and
Yeah.
what to do. So, um, we were kind of happy with that because we like making music videos as well, and that's something that I think we've done like 4 music videos now from the new record. I think the first song, "Fuck You and the Horse You Rode In On," was that kind of stood out to us as a catchy one, and one that obviously has a ridiculous title.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about King Parrot, we have ridiculous song titles, sort of long-winded, often what I'll call colloquialisms, which is not the easiest word to say,
Yeah.
but it's something that we've kind of done over the years with, songs like "Shit on the Liver," "10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag," stuff like that. We've kind of always adopted those kind of song titles, and "Fuck You and the Horse You Rode In On" is one of those typical ones that we were like, someone brought it up, and I was like, that would be a great song title. So
Yeah.
we just re-rolled with that. But then I just sort of feel like we kind of just chose the songs that we felt it kind of the strongest. But that being said, the songs that we haven't released as singles as well, like they're strong too, man. I think this album for us, it feels like it's our strongest one to date, and
Hmm.
from start to finish, it's really solid. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting the whole thing out next month
Yeah.
and
Yeah, yeah,
seeing what
in
we
just about a month. Yeah, June 6th, it'll be out. If you're listening to
right.
this, take a listen to it. Um, and so I'm wondering because like it's a great song title for a great song. I was just listening to it a little bit earlier today before coming on here. But just like take me into the creation process of this album. Is it a lot of like this would be a cool song title and trying to work from there? Like how do most of these songs?
Well, for the writing process itself, a lot of it starts with the guitar riff, um, mostly the guitar riff, and then we sort of work. We'll bring it in. We might have like a couple of co-joining riffs or parts that work well together, and then we'll sit in the room and just sort of finesse through it, try some different beats over it, see what kind of works, see what. Obviously, the guitarist will have an idea of what they may want to hear behind the riff, so um, we'll work with that. Usually, I'm sort of sitting there listening intently to what's going on and trying to work out what might fit lyrically or vocally as a pattern or a subject to the riff, um, and to the beat. Obviously, I work closely with the beat, so yeah, that's sort of how it goes, and then we just work through it, man, over and over again. We kind of do it the old school way. There's not a lot of um, computer stuff and like recording on the computer and doing all that sort of shit. We kind of keep it old school, and we like to work our way through songs and develop the feel for them. So that's
Yeah.
that's sort of how we've always kind of done it. But I think with the recording process itself this time, we um, we used a click track this time. We never done that before because we always just sort of wanted to go with
Wow.
that more punk rock kind of feel, and
Yeah.
I think that comes across in the recording. You can hear that the drums are a lot tighter, and that I think it just tightens up our sound, and that's sort of what we kind of had to go for on this record. So yeah, like that's sort of the nuts and bolts of it, in terms of writing. It always starts with the guitar. We jam it, we get the feels, we put the parts together, and then I'm working on the vocals in the background. And if I can't find something or I can't find my spot in the song, often our guitarist, Mr. White, he'll tell me what he's hearing. And so if I'm struggling or I can't get something cool, he'll be like, "What about here? Try it here. Try it there. Da, 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 or there, or let that be, leave that part, and then and then we'll work our way through it. And then I'll be able to sort of finesse something that I'm comfortable with."
Yeah, yeah, definitely. No, I think recording with a click track helps any instrumentalist, as good as you are, as like as much of an internal metronome as you can have. Like click tracks always help, and just give it that like even if it's like a millisecond sooner, it just makes it that much tighter. And then because I wanted to get into, you mentioned this old school process you have, and then reading about this album, I read that you were a lot more detailed and meticulous with like the creation and mixing process of this album, kind of the after effects or post production. Just what drove that, like wanting to put in that extra effort?
I think I think a lot of it came down to the drums, really. Like it was yeah, I think like there's a lot of it was the drums, the editing, and the getting them to the place that we wanted them to be. And then we worked a lot on our guitar tones and sampled and tried a whole bunch of different stuff. And um yeah, it was yeah, we were trying lots of like heads, cab combos and all of that sort of stuff until we finally got what we wanted. And then we finally found it.
Hmm.
And sort of we swapped that up a whole bunch of times, did a bunch of reamping and all that sort of stuff. But it was more, we were just trying to get it right, just trying to get everything to sit where it should sit, giving everything some breathing room and some space in the recording. And yeah, that just took some time. We just took our time with it and got it to
Yeah,
where we wanted it. So that was
yeah.
it was a good process, a real learning process for us in terms of just doing things slightly differently, and putting in that extra effort. I think you can hear in the production of the record that it
Yeah,
sounds
I was
bigger. It
gonna
sounds
say I appreciate taking the extra time because I could hear it in like the difference between like some of the older tracks and then these singles off the new album.
yeah.
Um,
It's definitely there's definitely a bit more processing in the studio. And we had a great engineer, Luke Walton at Danger Tone, here in Melbourne, and he knows what he's doing. He's got some great gear in his studio, and we're grateful that we took that extra little bit of time to get it done.
yeah, yeah, that's awesome. And because you mentioned it earlier, I also want to get into it. I think it's your most popular song, "Shit on the Liver," which, like, I
Right.
mean, you are also talking about like loving making music videos and all that. And the music video for this one actually was a finalist for the Australian Music Video Awards in like 2013,
Right.
back when it came out. And just what was that recognition like, both with the music video, it becoming your most popular song? Like, just take me into the whirlwind of this song.
Yeah, well, I mean, like when we were first starting, that was kind of the thing that kind of helped us sort of push out and launch our trajectory. Um, yeah, I mean, I think when we made that video, we kind of had no real idea of how it was going to turn out. We kind of had some ideas about what we wanted to do and how we wanted to do it, but I've got to give a lot of credit to our video guy, Dan Farmer from Farm Walker Films. Like we still make music videos with him to this day, and he's part of our team. And we love having him as part of it because he's just such a great filmmaker. And Yeah, he kind of, that whole intro part that kind of caught on was yeah, it was largely edited together by him. And as I was, the guy who's the parking inspector in the video is our friend Boyd Sinnott, who passed away. He's the guy that I was talking about. So that was that video, since his passing, is taking on a whole new meaning for us. It's
Yeah.
it's sort of immortalized by our brother who passed away. So it's it's kind of it's emotional watching it now. But it's a cool little snapshot of what we were up to at the time and how much fun we were having, and it's, I'm very grateful for that video, in the sense that it really, and the song itself, it stood out as something that was different. It was a different song. It was a different, obviously the video is different. And we went to the music video finals for that. Like they had this big thing at this huge theater in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And, there was people, like lots of pop music, and I think Gaudier, or whatever that guy's name is, Gaudier, some like pop dude. He won it. But when Shit on the Liver came on, man, the whole theater erupted, and everyone was like cheering for us, and it was like, because they were definitely not expecting a grindcore video at the Australian Music Video Awards.
Yeah.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah, but I mean that's great that you had the support. Like it's maybe it helped that it was unexpected, or something new to the people in attendance and everything.
Totally was, man. I mean, they knew it was coming, but they
Yeah.
also, they knew it was coming, but it was also like, a bit abnormal.
And so that effect you talked about of like the video kind of taking on a whole new meaning, or like being that much more special to you, has that happened with the song itself too, or really any King Parrot song? Is there something that like had one meaning when you wrote it and now is like changed meaning, or is attached to new memories?
Yeah, you know what? It's actually funny you say that, and ask that question, because like, I've been we've been rehearsing a lot. We've just got a new drummer, and so we've been going through all the songs again, and we like playing all the old songs, and having a new drummer, like, obviously changes the chemistry of the band and everything that's going on for the band, so we can revisit some of these older songs, and they've taken on a bit of a new life with this new feel that we have in the band, which has been really refreshing for us. And he's coming out and playing his first shows with us next weekend, so it's an exciting time for the band. But like, sort of, I guess in the last 10 years, being with one drummer, and you kind of go into autopilot a little bit, and you just kind
Yeah.
of, playing the songs, and you're just doing the do. And now I'm like, we've got this new guy who's playing the songs a little differently. He's putting a bit more, he's playing the slow bits a bit slower and the fast bits a bit faster, and it's got taken on this different energy. And then I'm sort of thinking about the lyrics and the words of some of the songs that we wrote all those years ago, and definitely some of them have taken on a new meaning in the way that they were delivered. Even the lyrics in the songs are like, I'm like, far out. That means something completely different now, and it means something completely different to me. But what that means is you can deliver it with a different type of energy, and a
Yeah.
different. And I like to
Yeah.
mess around with songs a little bit, not too much, because I know people want to hear the actual songs. I know there's nothing worse than going to a concert and, like, the singer starts singing the song completely differently. Like,
Yeah.
I saw it a couple of weeks ago where this band that I won't throw them under the bus or anything, but an older band that I went and saw, and they just was singing the vocals, like the choruses, in the wrong spots, or just trying to do something new with it. And it's like, man, that's a classic song. You just got to sing it the way that people want to hear it.
Yeah.
And
Or take like a high energy like hit song and do it in like the more acoustic part of the set and like bring the energy way down for it. It's like no, the song needs the energy.
right, and it's like that can be kind of frustrating. But so I don't try and mess with it too much, but it's more about the delivery and what it means to me. Like it helps if I can find a new energy for a song, or the lyrics take on a different meaning for me, because then I can focus on that
Yeah.
and put that energy into the song when we're playing it live, and that really helps.
Hey heroes, sorry to interrupt that podcast episode, which I hope you are enjoying, but I wanted to tell you about my clothing line, Quest Clothing. Ever since I started really pursuing YouTube and music and all these creative things that I do, I've dreamed about starting this clothing line specifically. I had the name, I had the idea like for years before I started it, and now it's finally here. You can wear clothes like this. I have sweatshirts available, t-shirts, even clothing for like my music with cover arts and lyrics and things like that. It's all super, super cool. And right now is the best way for you guys to support me across everything I do. So be sure to check out the Quest Clothing web store with the link in the description and follow at Shop Quest Clothing on Instagram for updates about collections, discounts, things like that. Anyways, I don't want this self-sponsorship to take too long, so let's get back to the episode.
The drummer changes, the member changes that you mentioned. How do you find yourself or even the band like adapting through all this or different lineups and everything? Is it kind of a process each time, or have some of them been like really smooth and just like easy to adjust to?
Well, this has been the first one in 10 years, right? So
Hmm.
we just this has been the first time. Like early on, we had some issues with drummers and stuff, and we couldn't find someone to kind of sit in. And then we had Todd for the last 10 years, and now we've parted ways amicably, which is totally understandable. Life happens, things change, and yeah, we've got this young guy Max Dangerfield in the band now, and he's just killing it, man. It's awesome, and he's 24. He's younger than us, and uh, much younger than us, and but he's a prodigy, man. He's a great drummer. He's super enthusiastic. He's been listening to King Parrot since he was 13 years old, right? So
Wow.
he grew up on our first record,
Yeah.
and he he can play it with his eyes closed, which is just amazing. It's just brought in this different energy, and we're super excited. He's coming to the US with us for our upcoming tour, and we're we've got 11 shows here in Australia before we come to the US, so we're going to get him warmed up and get him
Yeah.
into the
Get
and
adjusted.
like yeah. But his first show in America is going to be supporting Acid Bath and Pentagram in a theater in New York. And
That's
like,
crazy.
I'm so stoked that I'm so stoked we got that gig, right? And then obviously we're playing with Pantera and Amon Amarth for we're doing some huge shows on this tour, but
Yeah.
just to be able to score a show with a band like Acid Bath, and his first show being in this like awesome theater in New York, like I'm stoked that we got the gig, but I'm so stoked for him that he gets the opportunity as a young dude to be able to play a show like that as his first show in the US. It's incredible, man. It's so cool. I'm so happy for him, and I'm just stoked that we have this sort of resurgence of energy that seems to be coming through the band at the moment, which is great.
Yeah, yeah. So take me into it. I was gonna get into it, and so I'm glad you brought it up. These summer tours with Pantera, which is obviously such a storied, like legendary band. What can fans kind of expect from these shows, or what are you looking forward to in this run of shows?
Well, the fact that we're doing, I think, 20 shows with Pantera and Amon Amarth is kind of mind blowing for us.
Yeah,
It's as an Australian band that plays extreme metal music, to get the opportunity to come over and tour with Pantera and Amon Amarth, playing, you know, these huge amphitheater sort of stadium type shows is well, unheard of, really.
Yeah,
So we're just taking it in our stride, man. We're full of gratitude. We totally blessed to have the opportunity to do it. Um, but what we do is we just get up there and we give it 100% every single night. That's probably
that's
why
how
we
you
got the
have to.
gig.
That's what you have to do. Yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta.
yeah.
Whether it's 5 people, 5,000, 50,000, you gotta get in there and just go for it.
Man, and that's always been our ethos. We like whatever we're playing in front of. We're playing in, like, we did some Europe shows, right, recently with Pantera and Power Trip, and then
That's awesome.
like we did a whole bunch through Europe with those guys, and then like the last show of the tour uh, with those guys, we played at Wembley in London, right, and huge show. There's like celebrities and shit there, and all of that sort of stuff. And then the next night, we kept going. We did another 20 shows, club shows, and stuff around Europe afterwards because that's what we were doing. But the next night, after we played in Wembley, to a sold out Wembley, we played a floor show in this club in the south of the UK, down on the coast, with a bunch of like 50 or 100 grindcore fans, and we played at no stage, and we just went for it. So that's kind of, it's just the magnitude of
The absolute like two extremes of the spectrum so close to each
right,
other.
totally insane. It was like any sort of ego that we might have walked out of Wembley with got crushed the next day, and it was like, get on the floor, play a show, and it was great, man. We loved it. We had the best time, and that's what we do. We just love playing our music. We love playing live. We love getting the opportunity to perform it, and obviously, playing these huge shows is incredible. But
Yeah. Do you,
we yeah, we do club shows too, right?
yeah. Well, I was gonna ask because I know like club shows are so special both to fans and like the bands and I've heard like bands that I love that are now at these like stadium levels still trying to connect or want to get that like club feel back. Do you as awesome as it is to do Wembley or these smaller shows, like do you have a preference between one or the other?
I mean, I guess when you're
Or
doing
just what
those
are
big,
some of the pros and cons of both? Without picking a side, what are some of the pros and cons of both?
right. So when you're playing those bigger shows, right, obviously the PA is great. You can hear yourself really well on stage. You can hear, and you sort of slip into this groove because everything's very consistent at that level. You're often just running the same PA system. You've got the same monitors. Everything's sort of dialed in. That's great. The catering's fucking awesome too. And then going back to the club shows, I mean, obviously the club shows is like the audience is close and you get a lot more of the actual energy from the audience, which I love as well.
Mm-hmm.
But then you've got all these other factors that you got to consider because there's often, the PA will be, it might be a great PA, it might be a shit PA, it might
Yeah.
be monitors might be great or they might be terrible, and so things like if you've got bad monitors, like you can blow your voice out really badly, and I've had that happen multiple times where you just can't hear yourself on stage, but you're trying to perform, and you're contending with smelly, germy people, and it's cold. Like we just toured Europe in winter; it was freezing cold, and you're much more susceptible to getting sick and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I guess you got to contend with all of those all of those things when you're doing club shows. So, yeah, it's like, but we wouldn't have it any other way, man. It's awesome. We're just grateful that we get the opportunity to do it, and there's people out there that want to hear our music and hear us play live and stuff like that. So we're grateful. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great. That's great. And so I want to get into like just the latest single from this new album going back to the new album because literally today as of recording this the latest single came out, Get What You Given, And I actually haven't even gotten the chance to listen to it. I've been so busy today, but just tell me about like this song specifically and what went into it.
Well, this one was one of the songs that came together the easiest on the new record. Like it came together so quick. It was one of those ones that was just like in an afternoon, like we just did it in a couple of hours. It kind of just came together. The riffs are pretty straightforward. The feel of what we were trying to do, it was pretty straightforward. And I guess with the vocals, I kind of went for some deeper stuff because I just felt that the style of the song was calling for that. I mean, there's the kind of typical King Parrot vocals throughout the song as well, but there's definitely some deeper stuff on there that, I just felt that that's where the song was kind of going. And then, yeah, it had like really strong power violence overtones. So that's kind of what I went for more with the vocals. And, I'd been listening to a lot of stuff like, I toured a band called Despise You back in, I think it was in 2023. I toured them out here in Australia, and they had an influence on me, like just the way that they approached it, and the way that they went about their songwriting and stuff like that. And when I heard this song, it kind of reminded me of something that they might do. And so I just kind of tried to do my version of what they would do. So I had to Despise You, like I love those guys. Awesome band.
Yeah, that's awesome. That like back and forth inspiration kind of with it.
Yeah, totally, man. I take it from everywhere all the time. It's great, and those guys are just like legends of that sort of scene, and yeah, big influence.
Yeah, that's great. And especially with the, because I'm sure there's some level of that with Pantera, which like we've been talking about with all your touring with them. Like I'm sure there's some amount of like camaraderie and connection there, including like back when Phil did an interview with you guys on the Housecore Records YouTube channel. What was that like to like have this connection and go from like, touring or like hanging out to like quote unquote working or like making a piece of content for him or with him?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've had a relationship with Housecore going back, well, I think it's well over 10 years now. So, yeah, I mean, it kind of just started from an email from Philip, and we were kind of like, whoa, I think Phil Anselmo just emailed us, and and
it's crazy.
Yeah, well, it was for a band like us that was just starting out in Australia. We were starting to get a little bit of
buzz,
ascendancy in the scene. More people were coming to our shows. We kind of scored a few big gigs, like we played a couple festivals, things like that. And then, yeah, next minute, Down were touring in Australia. We were hanging out there with those guys. They invited us to come and hang out. Not too much further down the track, we were in America doing our first tour, and they invited us to come and drop into the house and hang out. So we did that, and next thing they were saying, "Hey, do you want to come and join the label?" And we were like, "Sure, let's do it." I mean, we felt like it was a good underground label that was suited to what we do, and they've been able to help us so much in so many ways that we're just, it's been an amazing thing for a band like us who wanted to kind of go and tour in America and play in the US regularly, to be able to have a home base that we can go, okay, well, we know that we've got our gear there and that we can go there and hang out and feel comfortable, and the studios there, and
just get the support to actually book shows and go over there and do all this stuff.
Right. And we've toured with a lot of the housecore bands. We've done, we did Down and Superjoint, and we've toured with Childbite relentlessly. I think we've played with nearly most of all the other bands on the label as well. And then I guess when we did the done bunch of stuff with the Illegals, and then I guess when the Pantera stuff started up, and they were sort of saying, "Hey, we want to bring the housecore bands out with it as well." So I was like, "Wow, what an experience!" That's huge for bands like us to get that exposure to a more kind of mainstream metal audience. So, I guess for us, it's just a matter of knuckling down and being as tight as we possibly can, and putting on our best show when we get the opportunity to play these huge shows. Because we're playing in front of 10, 15,000 people a night at these shows, and doing club shows, you're probably playing anywhere between 100, 200 to 500 people a night, and it's so you kind of probably playing in front of more people in one night than what you would play in front of on a whole tour.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you were just doing club shows, right? So you got to make the most of those opportunities.
Yeah, that is crazy to even as the opener on a tour, play a show and be like, that was a full run of our shows, like right there.
Right. But that's what it is when you're a musician, right? You some nights you play in front of like you might be playing Monday night out in the middle of buttfuck Idaho, and like there's 50 people there, right? Like that's it, like I've seen some, like we've been on tours where some big popular artists that are playing in front of very small crowds, and so obviously on the weekends and whatever, more and more people come out, but you still got to play these shows, right? You've still got to play these Monday nights. It's all, you got to do Monday night somewhere.
Yeah. And it's been interesting for me because like as I start going to more and more concerts and get more into like the live scene, there's like obviously in any city there's like certain venues that are more popular or are gonna have more shows, bigger shows, whatever. And so like just recently I'm out in Los Angeles, and so like one venue I've been to a lot is Shrine Auditorium and Expo Hall, and like it's always interesting for me to like same venue, like same days of the week or whatnot, and go and see, depending on like the artist or even the kind of music, like how full or empty it is, and like how many people are in the audience, and it's just wild to me.
Yeah, totally, man. It's always it's always a variable depending on the night and what kind of genre or whatever. So yeah, I hear.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're like me and you're interested in the YouTube or creator space, you should check out The Published Press. The Published Press is a completely free newsletter founded by YouTubers Colin and Samir. They host their own podcast talking to some of YouTube's largest creators. They've edited some of the best content I've seen on YouTube, and now they're sharing their knowledge about the YouTube space with you for free. The Published Press comes out 3 times a week, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, with everything going on with their favorite creators and platforms. And like I said, it's completely free. Just enter your email address to receive the Published Press whenever it comes out, and that's it. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below, sign up to the Published Press, and get all the info you need on the industry.
The last kind of like I'll say like more music focused or career focused question I have is just like getting onto Spotify's all new metal playlist. What was that like for you, or that recognition again like for you guys?
Well, I mean, that's the first time I've actually heard that. I didn't even know we were on it, but that's great. That's great.
I'm not sure. I was trying to look because I think it must have been a past release or something, because I don't think you're on there. Like they just updated it and it's not on there now. But I'm wondering if it's one of these singles from the album, something. But yeah, you were on the all new metal playlist on Spotify.
Well, yeah, that shows you how much I know about all that sort of stuff.
That's fine.
No, I mean, it's always great to get recognition, though. Like I've seen that we popped up on, like I'll get an email come through and it'll say, "Hey, you popped up on this, breaking metal, or you're on this new playlist, or whatnot." And I mean, like for us, we kind of stay true to what we do, and we stick to what we know and musically, and we're just grateful for the opportunity to be able to have our music go out there to this wider audience. And You know, when we started doing the band, I mean, we had some goals and things that we wanted to achieve, and one of those things was to be able to establish our own sound within it sound Australian. Like we wanted for it to sound Australian. You know, we wanted our music to. We didn't want to just be another generic thrash band or another generic kind of porno grind band or something like that. We wanted to develop a sound that was ours. You know, that was uniquely ours, influenced by other Australian bands that have played extreme music, influenced by like stuff like AC/DC and all that sort of shit too. Like going back, you know, like we wanted to pay our respects to all of that sort of music within our own sound, and then be able to take that out internationally and tour internationally and do all that sort of stuff. So, you know, we kind of ticked those boxes pretty early on in our career. Like after doing the first record, we started touring internationally, and then once we got our second record out, we were kind of touring you know, in Europe and America, and doing some stuff in Asia and that as well. So, you know, we kind of achieved those goals early on, and now I guess we're just going for it, continuing to go for it. And I guess the idea is that we can continue to do this and make it viable, and keep playing the music that we love, because we just love creating new music. We love touring and playing it live, and yeah, it's just let the ball keep rolling. You know, it's great. You know, I mean, we would never have sort of imagined that we'd be playing shows with Pantera when we started this band. Like it's like that's
so it's already exceeded expectations from when you started or what you had. But let's keep it going. Let's see where it goes. Like just how far you can take it.
Totally, man. And it's a huge thing, and we just taking every opportunity that we can get. I mean, yeah, you know, like scoring things like the Acid Bath show in New York. I mean, that just happened to be a week before this Pantera tour starts, and I saw that they'd only had one support on there, and I was like, man, love to get that show. So we got our booking agent on the job, and next thing I know, we're on the poster. And I was like, this is crazy, you know. So
that's awesome.
So crazy, and you know, like.
But just great drive from you, and putting your name in there and being like, no, I want this. We should be on there.
Right. And you know, and both those bands, Acid Bath and Pantera, bands that, you know, like 5 years ago, no one would have ever thought that those bands would ever play again. You would have never have thought that they would be playing live again. So here we are today, 2025, and both bands are playing live, killing it, playing huge shows, and somehow our band is supporting them.
It's awesome. And so to slowly start wrapping things up here, I just want to get into like I call this show Hero's Journey, because like with the I don't even know what to call, I guess like story framework of Hero's Journey, like getting to know you more, like behind the music, beyond the career, everything. So just like early life growing up, what was it that first got you into music or like made you fall in love with it?
Well, I think my first my first stuff was like, first I remember like being a little kid and doing like little concerts and stuff.
Yeah.
Like when we were growing up in the 80s, you know, music was such a big thing, you know, and there was like always music video shows on the TV. So that every on the weekends and stuff, there'd be like video clip after video clip on the television. So we would get all of that sort of sensationalized. But my earliest memories of trying to perform was with me and a couple of my friends with tennis rackets and broomsticks, singing along to like La Bamba and shit like that. And there's a guy out here called John Farnham who was quite popular. I don't think he had as much success in America as what he did in Australia, but we used to sing along to that stuff, and Michael Jackson and all that kind of crap, you know, and that was huge in the 80s, you know. And then I guess when things started taking a bit of a turn for me into the more metal direction was my older cousin started introducing me to stuff like Poison and Motley Crue Guns N' Roses like was the next sort of step along, and then all of a sudden, you know, as we're getting a little older, like Metallica came out, Seek and Destroy, you had Seek and Destroy on a vinyl record, and it was like, wow, that was awesome. But then on the other side, my dad also introduced me to AC/DC and Black Sabbath, and I kind of didn't get that stuff straight away because I was sort of more like going down the Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue kind of thing, and that seemed cooler to me. But then as I kind of got a little older, I was like, oh, hold on, this AC/DC Black, there's something to this.
Yeah.
And so the cock rock stuff started to fade away, and I started going into the heavier stuff, you know, and, you know, like the gateway drugs, I call them, like Metallica. I remember having a cassette tape with Sepultura, Arise, and Slayer Seasons in the Abyss on it. It was like a taped tape. So it had been duplicated already off the original, and then I duplicated it off the copy. And and man, just hearing those two records like just changed my life, you know. And then like a band like Pantera kind of exploded onto the scene as well not long after that, and that sort of really got everyone's attention because that was being played on those morning TV shows. That was like with all the video, like along with all the pop music. Then all of a sudden, Pantera comes on, like in
it's
Australia.
Like a shock, yeah.
Totally was, you know, when they released Far Beyond Driven, I'm Broken was a big single out here, and when they came out here and toured, like I went to that show when I was 14, and yeah, that was a hell of an experience. And not long after, Slayer played out here, so I went to that show. So those two shows were really pivotal in influencing me to sort of explore heavy music more. And I think sometimes people like hear those bands and that'll be the heaviest they go to. But for me, and obviously a lot of other people, it was like, now I want to go and explore death metal and black metal and hardcore punk. And I want to just open up my eyes to all of this crazy world of extreme music that's out there. And yeah, it's been, I guess, the story of my life so far.
No, that's awesome that you just keep wanting like diving further and get more and more into it. That's awesome. And so if there is like other bands, other people who like that kind of death metal sound listening, like what tips or advice would you give to them to like start their own bands or just get their own career started?
So my thoughts on that are that, you know, you've got to network, you got to support other bands, you got to, you know, get out there, send emails, communicate, put on cool shows that you think people would like to see. And that's the networking part of it. Get out there and play to as many different people as you can. So play in other cities, play in other places. Be influenced by heaps of different stuff too. I think that's, you know, when you keep an open mind to all new things, I think that really shows in the music that you create. You can tell,
Definitely.
you know, when bands just listen to thrash, you're just a thrash band. You can hear it in the music. It's like, oh, that's all I'm influenced by. It's just that, and it comes across in the music. It's like, but when you open your mind to new stuff, it allows other little influences to seep in, and it creates more interesting music from my perspective, anyway. So they're the main things that I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And so then some other questions to start wrapping up here. Just if someone's listening to this and hasn't heard of King Parrot before, but wants to now like become a fan, get into it, what song would you recommend as like a first listen to King Parrot or to get into the band?
Well, it's hard to say if there's not one particular one, but I guess like a couple of the new ones. I mean, Get What You're Given, I love that song, and I love Fuck You and the Horse You Rode In On, and I like Look Away, I'm Hideous from the new record. They're all good, but I would just go to our YouTube channel and just like start watching videos because we've
just
got
explore.
tons.
Check it out. Listen to a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, but there's, I mean, shit on the liver you can't sort of go past in terms of the video. That's sort of been, you know, a trademark, so to speak, of the band. So that's probably a good starting point, and then you can just go down the rabbit hole from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't just listen to one song. Give it a chance, try out a bunch of things, and check out the new album, A Young Person's Guide to King Parrot, when it comes out this June 6th. I got it.
Right.
Um,
You got it, man.
yeah. And so just like for some more hypothetical questions, if the band could collaborate with any other band, artist, whatever, on a song, who would you want King Parrot to collaborate with?
Oh, that's a tough question. That is a
Hmm.
tough question. I don't know. Uh, I mean, we're not much of a collaborative kind of band, but I would say, you know, I would say like someone like the Melvins or someone like that. Like I love the way that the Melvins go about their business. I think King Buzzo's a exceptionally talented guy, and the way that he writes songs is really cool, and I'd love to be able to just sort of sit there and watch the Melvins create a song or something like that. I
Yeah.
love the way, like, I'm a big fan of their band, and I love the way that they go about it, and his guitar playing is amazing, and the way that the way he puts the vocals, and I would love to see them write a song. And if we got to write a song with them, that'd be cool too. But yeah, yeah, but
Yeah. But
he's
even
one of
even
the
just
guys.
taking that fly on the wall approach of just seeing how they do it, being included in that process would be awesome.
Yeah, right. I just think he's one of those guys that's been at it for such a long time. He's worked with so many different artists and so many different people, like from Kurt Cobain to Napalm Death. So I just think it'd be cool to see how he goes about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And just the last question, with all the live shows you've done, maybe there isn't really some, but do you have a bucket list of like live shows, festivals, just like venues that you want to play one day?
Well, I mean, we just played at Wembley. I mean, that was ridiculous. Like that
Yeah.
was like
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, most people that is their bucket list, and then you've already done it.
yeah, right. I mean, it wasn't. To be fair, right, it wasn't Wembley Arena. It was Wembley Stadium, which is just next
Yeah.
door. Which is like it's still like 13,000
Still, yeah,
capacities.
yeah.
A grindcore
Still
band
Wembley.
like I reckon we're probably the only grindcore band that's ever played at Wembley. I don't know. I'm not laying claim to it, but I reckon we might be the only grindcore band that's ever played at Wembley. But like I mean, it's hard to say. There's a really cool venue in Melbourne that we haven't played yet called the Forum, and that's a bigger room for a band like us. I mean, it's like a 2,500 cap maybe. We haven't played there yet, so I'd love to play there. But that being said, on this upcoming tour, we're playing. The show with Acid Bath is at this really cool theater called the Paramount in Brooklyn, which is going to be an awesome experience. But we're also playing at the Forum in LA with Pantera and Amon Amarth. That show's at the Forum. I mean, isn't that the place where the Lakers used to play?
Yeah, yeah. It's
No, like,
uh, yeah, you know, get as close as you can.
yeah, right. I mean, it's like that's going to be cool,
It's
man. That's going to be a
it's
really
like
cool
because
experience.
because I loved I mean it's like still kind of the same thing, but I loved Staples Center in LA, and it was the
Yeah,
whole thing of like it took me a while to accept, but like I'm sad that no one's like playing the Staples Center anymore. Like it's
yeah,
crypto.com arena, so it's the same thing, but just even just a name change, things like that. And so, but yeah, obviously a super historic venue that I wish
yeah,
shows could still happen at, entertainment could still go to. But
yeah,
you
yeah.
got the next best thing. You got the other forum.
Dude, I mean, yeah, that's mind blowing shit to me. So yeah, we're just
Yeah.
taking it in our stride, man, and we just keep doing it, and grateful for every opportunity that comes our way.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so looking forward to the summer run of shows, the upcoming album, absolutely everything. I can't wait to hear it all. But thank you so much for coming on, telling me a bit more about the band, you just like as a person, the music, absolutely everything. I had a blast, and I hope you did too.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate your support. I'm very grateful. Thank you, and hopefully we can catch up in person when we're over there in the summer months.
Yeah, I'd love that. I love that. And if you're listening to this, I think it'll come out around when the album comes out, maybe just a bit before, but June
Cool.
6th, the new album is out. If it's out, go listen to it. If not, pre-save it, save the date, everything to listen to A Young Person's Guide to King Parrot on June 6th. Thanks, Matt, again for coming on.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.